Welcome back to Smoke Your Ribs Barbecue. In today's video, I'm doing episode 3 of my sausage series. We're doing a traditional Louisiana Boudin. Gonna get started right after this.
If you wanna cook backyard barbecue till you get your feel, you come to the right place. Russ Jones Smoky Ribs. Smoky Ribs. Smoky
The first step in making this Boudin is cutting up a few things. I've got a 4-pound Boston butt boneless that I'll be cubing up, as well as a Cajun Trinity, which is onion, celery, and bell pepper. Also going to have a little garlic in that. Going to cut all that up. Going to show you that here in just a minute. But first, I want to discuss having a really good knife. If you do a lot of meat processing like I do, then it's imperative that you have some really good knives that you can depend on. And I just want to do a quick shout out for Dow Strong. If you've been following my channel for a couple of years now, then you have seen me swap over to the Dow Strong. I have a variety of knives. They're from different series. I don't have a matching set. They're all different based on what that knife is and what I need it for. And I just got this boning fillet knife, and man, this is fantastic. So I'm just going to take my boning knife, and we're just going to cut this up into cubes. Keep them kind of consistent in size to where they cook about the same. I'm not going to bore you with all this cutting. Just get started here, and I'm going to take and just cut these to about this size right here. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this meat cut up. I'm also going to get the vegetables cut up. There again, it's onion, celery, and bell pepper. I'll have the recipe in the description box for the proper amounts of everything. And also what I'll be doing as I cut this, I'm going to put it right into the pot that we're going to be cooking it in. I've got all my meat cut up. I've got all my vegetables cut up right here. And like I said, I'll have in the description box, I'll have a list of the amounts of ingredients. But basically what I'm doing, instead of putting it in the pot like I first said, I remembered that when you make this Boudin, you have to put everything together. You have to let it marinate for like 24 hours in the refrigerator. So I don't have 24 hours, but what I do have is a vacuum tumbler. So I'm going to take all this onion and all this bell pepper, celery, and garlic. I'm going to put this in with the meat. Then we're going to season it. Then we're going to pull a vacuum and tumble it. So let's go ahead. Let me see if I can get this in here to where you can at least see it. That looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and go in with all the veggies. So instead of making my own seasoning, I'm going with the PS Seasoning's Cajun style Boudin season. This is all pre-mixed, ready to go. This is weighing in at 14.6 ounces. I need 7.3 because I'm going with half of this. That should be plenty for the 5 pounds of meat. It's 4 pounds of meat, but I got 1 pound of chicken livers getting ready to go in, so that's 5 pounds of meat, and the rest is made up in vegetables. Let's zero this in. Oh, that's got a lot of black pepper in it. That's something that Cajun Boudin is known for, is the black pepper in it. All right, so that's showing half of what this bag is, or right there at it. So I'm gonna take, let's get this out of our way. I'm going to take and add all that seasoning in. All right, so I've got all the seasoning into this, and there's only one more ingredient, and it's going to pretty much fill the capacity of this little container here, and that is 1 pound of chicken liver. By tradition, over in Louisiana, they typically use pork liver, but the chicken liver has a lot better liver flavor, in my opinion. It's not overpowering, and not only that, I cannot find pig liver unless you go to like a butchery or raise your own hogs. It's really hard to find in this area. But chicken livers you can find all day, and it's a really good substitute, so that's what we're doing. And in with the chicken livers. Gonna get the rest of the unit to this in here. I'm gonna get this vacuum going. We're gonna let it go 30 minutes. 30 minutes is going to duplicate what 24 hours would do. I've got my vacuum hose hooked up to the container here, and I've got the power on, so we're just gonna hit the function, and that just started the vacuum on this. Once that completes, then I'm gonna lock the top to hold that vacuum in there, and then we'll put it on the rollers and let it go for 30 minutes. Well, that didn't take but a minute. So what we do now is we lock this before we pull the hose out to where we don't lose the vacuum. Pull our hose out, put it back in its proper place, which is right here. We're going to put the tumbler on, place it on these wheels. So I changed my time from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. It defaults to 15 minutes, but 30 minutes should duplicate 24 hours or close to it. Now another thing this tumbling action is going to do is going to distribute that seasoning real well between all the veggies, the meat, and that is going to like get into the pores that's being opened by the vacuum and really season everything up. So it's been marinating for the 30 minutes. I just released the vacuum from the tumbler, and let me tell you, this smells incredible. So what I'm using is my pasta pot because it has a strainer. You've got to reserve this water after it's cooked, and I'll show you that later. But I'm just going to take and go into this pot with all the ingredients here. Make sure you scrape all the onions and anything left in this. No onion gets left behind. So you want to take just plain water, and you want to pour this in to where you just cover all the ingredients. And that's going to require more water. That's what you're wanting right there. Looks good. Put our lid on it. Start the fire. Alright, I'm going to bring this up to a boil, then reduce it down to a simmer. This is probably going to have to cook for a good 3 hours to get just super tender. We've been going around 3 hours and 10 minutes. Our meat is tender. So I'm going to take everything in that pot. It's got a strainer. I'm going to drain the water. I'm going to take the contents of that strainer, put it in this tub right here. I've got a liner in this just to make for easier cleanup. And from here, we're going to transfer it into my stand mixer, and we're going to get a good mix on this meat, get it good and shredded. All right, so we have got this drained for the most part. If you don't get it all, no big deal, because guess what? Some of that's going back into this. So you want to take a spoon and make sure you get all this goodness out of here. Now when it's piping hot like this, this is when you want to take green onions. This is around 3/4 of a cup of green onions, fresh green onions, and some parsley. Give all of this a really good mix. So for this amount of mixture, I went ahead and made 5 cups of rice. This is 5 cooked cups. Of course, you wouldn't start off with that much. We're just going to add that in. Now, I didn't salt this rice because the seasoning and the broth and all this mixture should be plenty to season the rice with. Well, I can tell that the steam coming off of this is actually fogging up my lens. It's starting to clear up a little bit. Let's take some of this and put it in our bowl for our stand mixer. See how much it will hold. Oh yeah, we're gonna make it. Let's put this attachment onto our stand mixer, drop it in. Let's start it off low. We're just gonna let that go until I see that meat really shredding like I'm needing it to. That's what you're wanting right there. That is just completely shredded, just like I want it. Oh man, that's got an outstanding flavor. Now it's time to stuff this into some casings, and you want to stuff it while it's still hot. That will take that casing and help it shrink and really tighten up around the boudin itself. All right, so let's go ahead and stuff our canister here. This is a 5-pound capacity, as I've mentioned in other sausage making videos. Now, if you like more rice, then you can certainly add more rice. I like some rice, but I want it to be primarily meat. Now, I did lubricate my horn with duck fat. I also lubricated the gasket on the piston for the stuffer. I haven't done that in a while, and I've been using it a lot lately. Let's put us a little water in here. Let's get our casing started. Now, I have a video out where I made boudin, and I used my own spice blend on that, and I turned them into boudin balls. I didn't case those into hog casings like I'm doing these. And you could do this recipe or that recipe the same way. You could stop right here. You could chill this mixture and then form balls, dip it into an egg wash and panko breadcrumbs or whatever breading you like. So let's go ahead and get this cranking out. I don't want to fill these too tight. Oh yeah, because we do have to link them, but I don't want them too loose either. I'm just applying a little bit of tension there. All right, so we're just going to give this a good spin here, and we're going to take and push in right about the middle between the two, and we're just going to give it a good spin this way. And as you do this, it's going to tighten your casings up even more. So that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to do 2 links and then just keep cutting in between, because I don't have a lot of working room here to do anything different. So I'm going to tie another knot in the end here, and we're just going to keep this going. And you may have noticed I didn't add any of the cooking liquid back into that. It didn't need it. It had plenty of moisture, plenty wet, really just the way I like it. You don't want a really wet mess on your hands, so I just left it alone. But you certainly can do that. You could even skim some of the fat off of the water and add that back into it as well, but I think we're going to be just fine. Boudin really should be placed in the refrigerator uncovered overnight to let it really dry that casing out, but I don't have time for that. It's got to happen today. Now, I will have time for most of it, but I'm going to take a couple of these links. I've already got the grill fired up, and we're just going to grill this until we can get that casing fully cooked. The only thing that's not cooked on this is the casing. It's raw, and we want to get that snap to it, so we want to brown these in a grill. Going to do that. I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those 2 links. Alright, so I've grilled 2 of these. The rest of them are in the refrigerator. Like I said, it's best to let them go overnight. Let them flavors really meld through and through, and it helps really dry that casing out as well. These are still linked together, and they are hot. We're just going to cut that. Alright, so we got us a bun here. And man, that's just the right length. Look at that. Couldn't have worked out no better. Now I've got a Creole, whole grain Creole mustard that's going to pair really well, give it some more of those Louisiana flavors. Ooh, that's going to be good. Now the only other thing I'm going to add to this is I've got some bread and butter pickles. Put about 3 of them through there, maybe 4. I think we're going to hold with 3. Alright, so let's give this a taste and see how we did. Got a really good snap to it. Tell you what, I don't get boudin that often because I don't live in Louisiana, so it's really nice to just make it yourself when you want some. Fantastic. Check out PS Seasonings. They have the Boudin seasoning. Next week we're going to do something else in this sausage series. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Till next time, smoke your ribs.